Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Transform Your Cemetery Operations to Serve Your Clients More Effectively with Axiom Cemetery Management. I'm going to give us about 20 more seconds just to let people continue to get logged in, and then we will get started. So we appreciate your patience. Again, if you're just joining us today, we're letting everybody finish logging in and then we'll get started. So I appreciate you bearing with us. Okay, my name is Melissa Waters and I'm the manager of events and programs at JMT Consulting as well as Axiom Cemetery Management. And we have Joel Wright joining us today to talk to us about transforming your cemetery operations to serve your clients more effectively. We are recording this webinar and we will share a copy of the slides with you after the webinar has concluded. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joel.
Thanks, Missy. Well, I appreciate it. I just wanted to show my face for a second, but I'm going to stop sharing my camera at least and allow for you to focus on the presentation rather than my face as I go through this. So I think that should do it. So yeah, so we're going to talk about transforming your cemetery operations to serve your clients more effectively. It's a very long title to this presentation, and I was thinking about it. The word transform is an exciting word if you hear it. Transform to me thinks of creating something better, kind of this eureka thing of solving something and making things more effective. But ultimately, transform is making changes. Right, and as we know, changes aren't always the easiest process. They're hard to make a decision. If there's something that you're wanting to change to solve an issue, trying to understand what that solution looks like and being confident in that solution. There's usually somebody that's taking lead in making any sort of change to the organization, and that person, is essentially putting their neck on the line for making those changes. So there's a little bit of a risk to doing that. And so not to dive too deep into the title slide here, but I was just thinking about it earlier, and change gives people a little bit of, I feel like, you get a little bit shaky whenever you hear that word, but transform is very exciting. And so little marketing play on the words, but really, I mean, changes should be exciting with 2020, where we're at today, with technology and things that businesses are able to do. There is a lot of exciting things that could be very painless in making, essentially these transformations to your organization. So to kind of dive into what we're going to talk about today, I want to briefly touch on Axiom and JMT Consulting. We're going to talk about transformation, so we've got to talk about why would you make a change, what a potential solution could look like, and if we have enough time, we could maybe get into some Q&A. Last time I did this, I ran it right up to the 30 minutes, so not sure if we're going to get around to that or not, but I'll try my best. So as Missy said, my name's Joel Wright. I'm a solution consultant for JMT Consulting's Axiom Cemetery Management Solutions. JMT about a year ago acquired Axiom Cemetery Solution, which has been around for, 25 years, providing just cemetery operational management software. We're very excited about it at JMT to have this product under our umbrella. We're essentially putting additional resources towards it. All the previous resources are still there, and we're funneling additional resources to really stick around for the long term and provide truly the best cemetery management solution that a cemetery could find. in the marketplace today. So through the acquisition, Axiom was in Australia and still has an office in Australia. So JMT today has 4 locations in New York, in Nashville, Austin, and Melbourne, Australia. So we're excited. We're now an international company. And with that, I mean, it's really neat to see the folks in Melbourne basically start their day. They started on the U.S. Sunday, since they're a day ahead. And as soon as they're closing out their day, the U.S. team is picking up from the New York office. And so we're essentially available to support our clients 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, which is really unique. And also, I just think a cool thing for an operation in general. So enough about us. We're wanting to talk about how can you transform your cemetery. And at JMT, we've been around for 30 years, and we've come across a trade secret we consider is called a discovery process with each one of our nonprofits that we manage or cemeteries that we work with. We undergo this exercise to truly get an idea as to what issues currently exist, the impact of those issues, and what a potential solution could look like. We go through this because there needs to be some sort of ROI, right? We need to understand whether or not transforming your organization even makes sense. Because if the effect of whatever you're trying to transform isn't greater than the transformation process in general, then it doesn't really make sense at all to make any sort of changes like that. So through this exercise, I'm not going to make any assumptions here, but I did want to make a couple of issues that we tend to find very common in the cemetery industry. So lack of confidence with burial records, lack of visibility in cemetery operations, disaster recovery plan, if exists, is bleak. Understanding what assets you have and being able to track them, and reliance on paper record keeping processes. I'm sure that some of you have dealt with this, especially if you've been in the cemetery industry for a while. It seems to, especially the bottom one, paper record keeping processes. Cemeteries are one of the largest oldest and I guess largest industries in the world. But the fact that a cemetery has been around for 50 to 100 to maybe a couple hundred years, you have record keeping that was done, going back in time. And so prior to, I guess, the 90s, early 90s or mid 80s, computer software wasn't really heavily available. And if it was a DOS system or whatever, and you probably still had paper record keeping processes that you were managing. So these are all things that you're dealing with, right? And so from there, what we want to do is really try and create impact or, a cost associated with each one of those issues and how they're truly impacting your organization. So lack of confidence in your burial records could lead to a potential lawsuit, right? Because maybe you have somebody buried where they shouldn't be. And as we know, attorneys are expensive. Each time that you're doing something that could affect a customer creates a bad experience. And there's just so many ways for people to share their experiences in today's world, whether it's Google or Yelp or whatever review site, or if they're a blogger, they could get that experience out there for the public to know and essentially, impact your organization in general, just from a public's point of view. If you have a lot of paper records and a lot of manual processes and your employees are having to deal with all this paper and, it's hard to find things whenever you need them, hard to pull reports whenever you need them, then that's a hindrance on employee morale. And potentially a competitor that has more streamlined systems would be a little bit more appealing. So you have a risk of employees potentially leaving your organization. A new one for 2020 is, this pandemic. So if you're relying on paper records and they're all at your cemetery, what we've seen this year has been really I guess, a wrench in the process, for how we typically do business. And a lot of people are having to work from home. So the reliance on that and being able to work from home is nearly impossible. So truly digitizing your records makes sense. So again, these are all assumptions for common issues and also risks and the impact of those issues that we see. And so, we would be able to put some dollar amounts associated with each one of these and really list them out to provide, a better idea as to why a change may make sense. And from there, you really want to figure out what the solution to each one of those could look like. And so what we're commonly, once we go through this process, what we're commonly finding is that there's things that we could do and, continue to enhance our product to help solve for some of these issues that our clients and prospects are actually dealing with. But our solution today, what it looks like, to give you an idea, is a truly end-to-end cemetery management operating system, whether it's from the sales development side of being able to track leads, create opportunities, and close deals, to having that provided to finance for account receivable and managing those assets, being able to map your solution and be able to see what inventory is available. All of those things built into a single system is what Axiom can provide. It's scalable, so not really any cemetery too small or a cemetery too big. There's different components that you could start with and begin to add on and still have that single system availability. So kind of think of it as a modular system. There's interactive tools like Google Maps that makes it easy for the users to be able to get to understand. And it's very customizable, depending on what your cemetery looks like, how old it's been, what your records currently look like, what information you need to track. There's a lot of things that can be customized to better suit your cemetery. So last was a visual. This is just a little bit more in depth as to all the different things that you could do with Axiom CMS. So truly, all the departments that work under a cemetery, whether it's your grounds crew, putting in work orders, your finance team, managing all of the accounting, your operations, being able to see a snapshot as to what's going on with your cemetery, services. We even have a funeral home module that, if you have a funeral home that's associated with your cemetery, you could be able to manage that. So truly a full system. Within Axiom, there's great visibility into what's going on, because the fact that it is a single system, as you make record changes within the system, they're reflected across the entirety immediately. So the ability to see reports in real time and also have reports in a format that aren't just, Excel spreadsheets with numbers and all that associated with it. It's actually a way that you could see things that are financial in a visual format, like a graph or a chart. And so, if you have a board or your CEO or department heads that aren't really financial focused people, you could still give them information that's relevant and easy to digest. The mapping side of it is really neat. If you were to scroll down and actually zoom in, you can see, the map is color coded with each one of the plots that are set out. So red would be, taken, essentially already interred. Blue would be pre-need, sold. Yellow, you could reserve plots. You could reserve multiple plots. So if you're a salesperson and you're with a family and you want to go out to the cemetery and look at some potential locations, you could actually reserve those if the family is interested. So that way, if another sales rep was to go out there, you wouldn't have them selling the same plot twice. What's really neat about this is that you could actually create order directly from the map. So if you were to click on one and reserve it, you could create the work order, create the deed, go through the entire process, create the invoice, have the customer sign the invoice, make the payment, and have it automatically feed over to finance. So truly all of it, there would not be a single piece of paper that would be used in that entire process. So it's really convenient, and also it's just a great way to keep track of that inventory. The kiosk is if you have individuals that come to your cemetery and they want to find loved ones, they would be able to walk up to the kiosk and essentially type in their name of the loved one and find that location directly to their site. So, and other additional information as well, so date of death, all of that. So it's literally a screen that's at your cemetery for you to be able to have visitors be able to pull up the loved ones and walk directly to the grave. Axiom Services, this is a front-end website. So if you're thinking about just a customer experience, rather than them having to give you a call and speak with one of your staff members to ask when the service is going to be taking place and where it's going to be at, they could come to your website, be able to pull up all the services that are happening during that day. And as you see here, you can pull up the map and it will give you the direct Google Maps location to that site. Deceased search is another great tool. So if folks understand where their loved ones are interred and they are interested in visiting them, or just finding more information about them, then they could come to the deceased search and be able to pull all that information up. And again, it's all tied back to the map, so you could have directions directly to their site. And so this is literally what it looks like, the Walk to Grave website, or Walk to Grave technology, excuse me. You put in once you click on it from the previous screens, it'll actually pull up the GPS coordinates. And so it'll pull your location to the GPS coordinates and give you exact directions to the actual site. So again, this is a program that we go through the discovery process, mapping out your current situation, the impact of that, identifying what your perfect world would look like, what the ideal solution would look like. And we walk through a little bit about what Axiom looks like as far as a perfect world for some of our clients. But again, that changes, and we're constantly enhancing our product. If you're looking to make a change and you wanted to go into the marketplace, you're probably going to look at a couple of different options. What I would really ask you to do is understand what their process looks like from an implementation and a client management perspective. What Axiom can provide is truly a hands-on implementation where we get to know you. We provide you with a dedicated project manager. We guarantee certain things like the price. So whatever proposal we provide you with, it's guaranteed. So there's no additional hourly costing or anything like that. You could take it to your budget committee and sign off on it and not worry that that's going to change. We also guarantee that whatever timeline we give you, we're going to hit that go live date. We've been doing this for 30 years, and we understand that it's totally a mutual process of understanding what those go live dates look like. And so we're very confident that whatever we decide mutually, we will be able to hit that. And once we are, set with, providing you with a new solution, we don't just go away. We provide you with a long-term commitment. Like I said, we're putting additional resources into this. We're enhancing the heck out of it. We have quite a bit of really exciting things that we're going to be doing just in 2021. We're really sticking around to make sure that you're consistently providing the best experience for your clients and your internal employees with the software that we help you support. Again, why this is important, if you're looking to make a change, it's because the industry average for a successful implementation is really terrible. 18% of them failed, meaning that they bought software and were never able to actually use it. Only 29% of the average implementations of software are actually successful. With JMT, we've been doing it for, like I said, almost 3 decades. We have a very high success rate. If you were to speak with any of our clients, in fact, our culture is that you could talk to any client of ours and get a really good referral, just because we've done a great job of making sure that they're satisfied and their system is configured to work for them the best. So that's all I had for today. I actually ran through this a lot quicker than last time, but with the additional time, Missy, I didn't see how many folks joined. I think what I could do is actually just reach out to each of you and see what your feedback was and get any questions you have directly with you.
That sounds good, Joel. I think that's a great plan, and I will pass along everyone's information to you so you can reach out and say hello. And we want to thank everyone for joining us today.
Great. Thanks, Missy.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.